Welcome back, everyone. Sunday night, we're back at all this. We're back at to cover the miners, Bitcoin, HPC, AI, power, everything else. What do we have to talk about today? We have really not much. We will talk about the miners, how they did against Bitcoin last week. There's also a new story coming out about power companies working with data centers behind the meter, which I think is going to be possibly good for the miners in general. Miners and the ones that have like HPC plays especially. We'll talk about that. We also have the election coming up this week, so that's going to be huge news happening here. We'll see who actually wins. Regardless who wins, doesn't really matter to me, but just as long as you guys vote, right? Make your voice heard out there. That's the main thing out there is just get out the vote. So that's coming up on Tuesday. Hopefully you guys get to do that. And then what else do we have here? We'll get into a Q&A. That should be it. So let's get going with this all. It's not financial advice, as always, for internal only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. If you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And we're just going to take a quick peek at Bitcoin here really quick. Bitcoin's been on a 5-day slide here. Obviously, we went up to 73,624, and we've come down all the way to our kind of descending line here, which we bounced off of that, I thought was pretty good that we bounced off of it. Which was at around 67,000 or so. But Bitcoin was down a little bit here today again. It was down 0.89%. Had a wild day on Friday. Yesterday was a little bit more calm. Today was a little bit more active towards the downside, but we bounced off of it, which was good. And we're sitting right now up approximately 0.55%, so it's not too bad. Bitcoin's up $375. We'll see where Monday takes us. Right, we have the election on Tuesday. That might be just one of those things that we're going to battle through it. We'll see what happens, if it's Trump or Kamala that wins it. I do think that if it is Trump, we might see a little bit more green than we would with maybe a Kamala win, but we'll see. Right, in the long run, I don't think this is going to really matter. Bitcoin has done its thing over the past cycles, especially since the cycles coincide with Bitcoin halvings. Right, each time we have a halving, we have an election as well. And Bitcoin, what has Bitcoin done? Bitcoin's gone up from basically pennies all the way up to being 68, 70 some thousand right now. Right, it's done an outstanding job here. So I still expect that to happen continuing regardless who is in the office. But that's basically Bitcoin here. We talked about the miners last Friday. We did a live stream, so there's not much to cover there. We'll just quickly look at the network hash rate really quick, see where that is at right now. And that's not it. That's the one I want. On the 7-day average, it's come down a little bit here. We're down to 752 exahash. It peaked at approximately 755, so we're down just a little bit on the 7-day average. And the 30-day average is also kind of going up a little bit as well. Same thing, kind of coming down a little bit, 704 on this 30-day average, which is what I really use for all of my metrics and everything else that I keep track of. So that is still heading to the right and up direction as we've been talking about. It's going to continue to do so. But that is it on it. So let's take a look at the story that we do have here, which was brought to us by, forgot this. So we talked about October being up only 10%. November's only down right now 1.9%. We're still in the early days of November. We'll see how it ends up. If it's like the 2015, 2016 cycle, we might be up only a little bit here. 5.42% was last time that we were at this one in 2016, which kind of looks like this cycle here if you look at September, right? And both years had a green September out of everything. So we might have maybe a lackluster November in Bitcoin if this is the case here. Because right now, so far, it's played out pretty close to what we had in 2016. And if that's the case, we may have a lackluster, like I said, November. But then December should be much better for us if that's the case. That's kind of where we are at right now. And then here it is. Dan Roberts from IREN posted this. I read the story. I thought this was kind of interesting here. So he posted, who would have thought that trying to locate data centers behind the meter could lead to social and regulatory challenges? Yeah, this is one of the things that I was questioning on a couple of the spaces that I was with on people that have a lot more experience than I do with power and nuclear sites and regulatory things like that. One of the questions I posed to some of these guys was, is there any kind of regulatory roadblock that would make it hard for like nuclear power sites to basically go to bed with data centers or Bitcoin miners and things like that? No one could really answer that. And I think I kind of got the answer here from this article today. which was kind of my thinking on it as it was. So U.S. regulators reject amended interconnect agreement for Amazon data center. So if you recall, a couple months back, this is probably going back 3 to 4 months, I think now, Amazon bought, I don't know exactly what it was, but from Talon, they bought out where, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank here, TeraWulf, where TeraWulf is located nearby at one of the facilities there. They bought out a portion of that facility, or released it. I think it was like 700 megawatt deal, and they paid, oh gosh, what did they pay for it? I'm drawing a blank on it right now. I don't exactly remember how much they paid for it, but they paid a lot of money for it, right? Which was also one of those things that kind of spiked the whole hype on HPC deals going forward. And let me zoom this in for you guys a little bit here so you can read it probably a little bit better. But the commission here ruled on this. So members of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission said the agreement to increase the capacity of the data center located on the site of Talon Energy's Susquehanna nuclear generating facility could raise power bills for the public and affect grid's reliability. So basically they said, no, you're not going to be able to do this. The co-location arrangements of the type presented here present an array of complicated, nuanced, and multifaceted issues which collectively could have huge ramifications for both grid reliability and consumer costs, FERC Commissioner Mark Christie said in the order. Which, if you're behind the meter, the way I understand it is if you're behind the meter, you don't have to pay for those transmission costs, right? But that's also being included with anybody that's buying electricity that's a consumer or even a business, right? You're paying those transmission fees, which then help support the grid and the upkeep and everything else into it. And if you're behind that meter, then you're not really paying those, so you're not really contributing to it, especially if you taking on 700 megawatts of a nuclear power facility or something like that. That's a huge chunk there, right? Potential, I wouldn't say revenue, it's more like fees and things like that that are not being collected on it. So I can see the point there, and that was one of my thoughts and questions about this altogether. The Talon agreement, however, would divert large amounts of power currently supplying the regional grid, which FERC said raised concerns about how that loss of supply would affect power bills and reliability. It was also unclear how the transmission and distribution upgrades would be paid for, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about here. And that's one of the questions out here. And also the regulatory framework on it is, on the behind the meter side of things, I know that there's a lot of regulations, especially for maybe not ERCOT, but the ones that are ERCOT's Texas-based, right? But everybody else here in the United States has commissions, and they have to deal with the commissions in the state and things like that. I know where I live, there's Power Commission also, Nuclear Power Commission that's also regulating the power lines, and they can tell them if they can increase their fees for electricity or transmission fees, things like that. That's all really controlled there on it. So I always questioned it. How easy would that be for a nuclear power plant that has maybe some access power? How easy would it be for somebody else to go in there and use that up? And it doesn't seem like it's going to be that easy. Or even for the nuclear power plant to go and say, we're just going to build up a data center here on our own, right? I think there's going to be things there that are going to be anti-competitive, antitrust maybe even as well. But I think mostly anti-competitive, where the power generator, the nuclear power plant, could make their own power basically almost for free, roughly, and then supply it to like the data centers or Bitcoin mining. And I don't think that's going to happen, actually. I just don't see that happening, but I could be wrong on this. Okay, so I thought this was kind of interesting to point out here. Also on Twitter, I posted a great video. I can't remember the gent's name right now, but he was going through a tour of the XAI, which is Elon Musk's supercluster, and I believe it's in, I think it's in Kentucky. It's what is it? 100,000 GPUs, the H100s right now, but it's a great tour of it. If you guys haven't had a chance to look at it, how a data center like that looks like and all that goes into it and the components that go into it and everything else, it is definitely a great view. I would highly recommend everybody take a look at it because it really does clearly show you what you need for a tier 3 data center compared to what we actually see with the miners here for the most part. Okay, so definitely check that out as well when you have time. But that is it. So as far as why this might be actually good news for the miners themselves, is my thinking behind this mainly is because, well, there's no benefit for large scale companies to go behind the meter, right? Especially if they're going to get smacked down on it anyways. And a lot of these miners that are in Bitcoin mining or HPC have the megawatts already that are, in line. They're approved and everything else. There's no quirks to it, no roadblocks, I guess you could say. So I'm thinking that this might actually be good for those miners and any miner that has also HPC So something to keep an eye on, I think, going forward would be, do we actually get an HPC deal with one of these hyperscalers from one of these miners? I think that would bode well for them because there's no real added benefit now to go into or try to get behind the meter for these guys. So that's kind of where my thought process was on possible good outcome of this. All right, so that's it on that. Let's take a look at really quick how did the miners do here over the last week, and it wasn't that great. Bitcoin, I think, actually did a little bit better than the miners here did. But from looking at this from the 52-week lows and from the 52-week highs on the bottom there, right, we can still see that TeraWolf has done the best. It's up almost 600% here, followed by Core almost 400%. Then you got IREN 224, Cleanspark almost 200% as well. And you got Hut 8, 159%, which this is definitely a big change here for Hut 8 at least. Hut 8 was towards the bottom end here for a long time, so that's definitely reversed here for them. Cypher 143, BitDeer 124, Bitcoin's up 101%. So Marathon, Bitfarms, Hive, and Riot have underperformed Bitcoin here in the last 52 weeks. And you can see here that Bitcoin's only 5.8% away from its 52-week high, whereas CORZ only 11%. TeraWolf had come down a little bit here. It's down 14.8 from its high here recently that it reached. But we still have like Cleanspark, 58% away from its 52-week high. We got Marathon 52 along with Bitfarms. Riot's at 49% now. So I think some of these guys here will catch a better bid going forward. IREN as well, maybe BitDeer, 45%, especially as Bitcoin continues to go up in value as time goes on. Now, when we look at the weekly performance here for past week, we can see Hut 8 has done the best. It's up 8%, followed by Bitcoin. It's only up 4%, so BitDeer is kind of even with Bitcoin. Everybody else has underperformed here. Riot, Bitfarms, IREN, Hive, Core, TeraWolf, Cypher, Marathon, Cleanspark being the worst here, down quite a bit here, 9%. But it was also up quite a bit in the prior week, right? It was up 30-some%, I think. So just getting a little rebranding and not rebranding. Reallocation happening here, maybe in the miners a little bit, profit taking in as well. On the 4 weeks, we can see where's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 11%, so it's outperformed, or let me see, companies that have outperformed it are Hut 8, Riot, IREN, Hive, TeraWolf, Cypher, and that's about it. TeraWolf being the biggest gainer here, 47%. The ones that have underperformed it are BitDeer, Bitfarms, what else do we have here? Core and Marathon being basically flat. Looking at 8 weeks, things change again here. Bitcoin's up 15%. We have quite a few of these companies that have outperformed it. Cypher being the biggest gainer here, 70%. Bitfarms being the weakest, down 9% on that. And then 12 weeks out, we can see here that Bitcoin's up 18%. Bitfarms are down 22%. So that's the biggest loser along with Cleanspark here. And the biggest gainers are TeraWolf, 54%, Hut 8, 39%, and Cypher, 37% in 12 weeks. So if you bought back then, you're looking pretty good right now. Going down here to the actual chart on how things have stacked up here over the last couple of weeks, we can see that Hut 8 has had basically last 12 weeks all in the green here for the most part, if you just look at it that way. Bitcoin, same thing. BitDeer as well. And then we had this past week, a lot of them that were in the red. But then we had Bitfarms here being the Bitfarms and Marathon, it looks like, are in the same boat where they're both quite a bit down here and only having being up from 4 weeks ago on both of these guys here. And then Cleanspark only being up on the 4 weeks and 8 weeks as well on that one. Okay. And you can see here on the table, we had a rough week here last week. We didn't have a great week also the prior week, but the week before that was actually a really good week. So that's kind of where we're at on it right now. I think that's how the things are shaping up. I still think in the long run we're going to do really well. It's going to be a bumpy ride, like I've said before, and it's just something that you're going to have to buckle up for. Have a pretty good, what's the word I'm looking for? A good stomach for it, I guess. Patience as well. This is not the time to panic, I don't think. At least not yet. All right, but that's it. So this will be available to my Patreon members. As always, link is down in the description for that. Let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things and see if there's anything else you guys want to talk about or anything like that. We'll see where the miners are tomorrow, where Bitcoin's tomorrow, day before the election. We'll see what happens there. But let's see if we got any questions here. Let me go back up. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, what have we got? Okay, Sarmelin says Trump is leading 6 out of the 7 swing states. He only needs 3. Yeah, I mean, it's early on, so anything can happen still. Why is your volume always so low? My volume is actually really good. I'm in the Goldilocks zone on my board that I have over here. So maybe if I bring it up closer to my mouth that way. But then people complain that you can hear me breathing, lip smacking. So sometimes I can't win. Okay. What else here? See, Sunday fun day, big week for us DJs. Hopefully we'll see who wins the election. Let's see. SH says, "Hi Seb, I listened to your message saying that you will give 1 more month to Bitfarms to decide. My advice to you is to never be a market timer. Many people who time the market end up losing big return." That is true, yeah. And that's why I said if we just looked at their performance here recently, over the last couple of weeks, couple of months, I probably would have, other people probably sold out. Some people have already sold out, right? It's tough to stomach. It's tough to bear when you're seeing other companies going up and the one that you think should be doing well is not doing well. And that's tough, right? So it's like, okay, we need to give them a little bit more time. We'll see where things end up at. But I'm not one to trade in and out of these guys quickly. So I think we need at least 1 more month. Okay. Let's see. Expecting fireworks on the stock market on Wednesday, just like 4 years ago. Bitcoin should follow. That'd be great. Seb, what is IREN's all-in cost? Excuse me. I don't know what their all-in cost is yet. I have the data for Q2, but I'm waiting for them to report their Q3 numbers, and we'll have a better cost of what that is then. Let's see. Brett says, Cleanspark hasn't given me results yet either. I bought both at the beginning of the year, and I'm hopeful and patient, but never one who has given me results yet. Hopefully in the year's time they will. Excuse me. Yeah, I think they will. I was buying it, like I've told you guys many, many times before, beginning of 2022, right in January, and I've dollar cost average down onto it. That's the only thing that's been a saving grace for me on that one. Is just being able to do that, and I'm still up. Well, I think last week I was up almost 200% on it. I think I'm maybe like 180 right now, something like that. So I'm still doing good, right? And if it continues to go up, I'll do even better. But just gotta be patient there. Let's see. Gary says, Seb has given Bitfarms years to deliver. He waits months to years before leaving a miner pick. Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. Silvermoon says, I regret not investing in MicroStrategy earlier this year. MicroStrategy has done really well, right? Which is kind of surprising. Well, it's not really surprising, I wouldn't say. But it has outperformed Bitcoin in a large way, which is not typical for it. It's usually like a 2 to maybe a 3 at most X on it. But it's definitely gone up to like 4 or 5X at points, but it's pulled back down. But it has been doing much better than miners have been. The big thing with MicroStrategy is it doesn't have the halving event, which the miners do, right? Miners get the revenues cut in half. MicroStrategy doesn't have that problem. MicroStrategy continues to do their business that they're doing, and they're just stacking Bitcoin on top of it. So that's the reason why MicroStrategy does better, like before the halving and a little bit after the halving. But I think once Bitcoin really goes in a rally, that's when the miners will really shine at that point. Let's see. BitDeer shipping their Seal A2 miner with S2 chip this month. Do you think it might be a good catalyst for the stock? Depending on how many orders they have for it with customers, and also how much are they going to actually get installed here this year still, which is unknown right now. We know that they have a roadmap for the A2, A3, A4 down the road on those Seal miners, but I think a lot of their growth is going to be in 2025, towards the second half of 2025 and into 2026. based on just what their roadmap was like. Let's see. Perry says we can only live going forward. What's the best thing to get now? I have FBTC, Cleanspark, and Bitfarms. I'm not sure about the first two. Cleanspark and Bitfarms I think are great. You can also get into maybe IREN as well. Not sure on TeraWulf right now. TeraWulf is just way overvalued for their Bitcoin mining right now as it is. But that's all based on their HPCI hype. So I would be cautious with that unless they actually can get an HPCI customer there. That's going to be substantial, similar to CoreWeave deal with Core Scientific. Okay, I could see that then, but right now I just don't see it. Who else could you get into? Cypher maybe. And then you got Mara and Riot. Right. I mean, those guys have name recognition. Riot has been doing pretty well also. So, I mean, there's quite a few you could get into. I think with Bitcoin going up, it's going to lift all boats. Some boats may lift up higher than others, but they're all going to lift up. Midway, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the $50. Wow, thank you. Thank you for your streams. It turns out that everybody is being too bearish on Bitcoin now, and the bull period lasts deep into 2026. With Bitcoin reaching close to 350,000, how high do you think IREN and Cleanspark might go? Oh gosh, if we go that long, so now you're talking about basically being like a an extended cycle. Kind of what I was thinking, that depending on where the monthly percentage gains are in Bitcoin, like in September, October, November, right? Right now it's looking like a 2016 cycle, similar to that. But if it's an extended cycle and we're going to 350,000 in Bitcoin by 2026, into 2026. Well, 2025, depending when in 2026. Are you talking about the end of 2026 or the beginning of 2026? If the miners, I mean, if Bitcoin goes to 350,000 next year, oh my gosh, then you're looking at, Cleanspark and IREN would go plus $100, probably over $100 at that point. But if you're talking about towards the end of 2026 at 350,000, depending where the network hash rate is going to be, how are they growing? That's a lot of unknowns there. We could be maybe at that point looking. That's tough. That's too far out to really get a feel for where things might be at that point. Let's see. Please add BitDigital to your watch list. I'm still keeping a track on them. And the reason for it is they are doing really well in HPC AI, right? Their Bitcoin mining is being put on the side burner, I guess. Not a lot of growth this year. I cut off the miners at 5 exahash for this year. If they're not getting to that, they're going to my smaller miners. And that's kind of where BitDigital is going into that. But we will keep an eye on them, see what they're doing, see if they have any contracts pending or new deals that they're working on, because I still like the company. I just wish they would be growing more on their Bitcoin mining side of things, which doesn't look like they will, and they might be getting out of it this cycle. What is your elections prediction? Gosh, I have no idea. I think it's close. It might be even close to call, even by like Wednesday or something like that. We might not get a result for maybe a couple of days, a week or something like that, depending how close it is. And then if you got the lawyers involved, they're going to be, oh gosh, it's going to take a while. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we get a blowout one way or the other. I think it'd be the best thing for the country. What do you think BitDigital, which looks like they have the best fundamentals, but dropping hard? What do I think of it? I mean, BitDigital is going into HPCI. That's kind of where they're going towards, right? We saw that starting this year, about 6 months ago or something like that. Sam has been saying that, he's not being valued for the Bitcoin mining side of things. He's not really being valued for the HPCI business. So he's thinking about maybe what if they split the business sections up? That was one of their thoughts. And then it looks like maybe now they're just kind of, in the beginning part of the year, they were saying that they're going to try to get to 6 exahash this year. That's kind of gone away, right? They're at 2.4, 2.5 exahash, and they're not growing anything beyond that, which leads me to believe that they will eventually scrub the Bitcoin mining side of the business once this bull run is over with. Let's see. Hive looks like we'll going to get a deep haircut next week. Cleanspark has been taking the shaft last 5 days. Looks like Riot Cypher will do much better. Your opinion is important. Well, Cleanspark also had a nice run up here, and that I saw it. It was actually 2 weeks ago now, right? It was up 34% in that week, and it's just one of those things where it's cyclical. Well, not cyclical. We do have a rotation, so people that get into one and they're up huge in 1 week, they're going to take profits on it, move it over to somebody else that they think is that way, or whatever reason it might be. It might be the ATM as well being played there. So there's a lot of things going on, but I think in the long run it'll do great. Okay, what else we got here? Sebastian, Bitfarms has been quite disappointing, especially considering it was on parity with Wolf earlier this year. Do you think if Bitfarms performs well, it can catch up to Wolf and decrease the gap? Well, okay, so that's kind of tough. Wolf is only catching a bid right now because of HPC hype. That's the only reason. Yes, they do have good operations for Bitcoin mining, but there's not much growth beyond where they are right now. Whereas Bitfarms is getting 21 exahash potentially by the end of this year still, and then they got growth plans to get to 35 exahash sometime in 2025. I don't know exactly when. They keep saying it's possibly maybe like the first half or something like that. So they have a lot more growth at that point. And I think with that growth, they should catch a much better bid going forward because they're going to be generating a lot more revenue because of it. Whereas TeraWolf has more, it seems like they're concentrating more on their HPC business than they are on the Bitcoin mining business. And you've also had like Drunken Miller, invest in the company. You had somebody else. So high profile investors invest in the company. That leads to hype also with HPCI, so that's why it's happening there for it. So I don't know. If TeraWolf doesn't get a good deal with a hyperscaler or a big contract with somebody that's going to be using their data centers, I think the stock is going to probably go down, but we'll see. Okay. You guys are saying that my volume is down. I wonder if the kids messed around with it a little bit. Let me see. Let me pull that up a little bit. How's that? Is that any better? We had... What do we have? Not Thanksgiving. Oh, for Halloween, we had kids down here playing. I wonder if they messed with my knobs here a little bit. Okay, hopefully that will be better now. Michael says, I don't understand with Bitcoin being higher than Riot report a loss with Bitcoin being high, which profit was better when Bitcoin was much lower, and I don't understand why. Well, so you have a couple of things happening there. If you include all non-cash expenses, so stock-based compensation, also, what's the word there? Depreciation in the miners as well, right? You include that into it. That's a huge chunk of it. But also after the halving event, they're generating half of the many Bitcoins that they have. They're actually generating more now than they were before. But you got a lot more costs involved and everything else in there. They're not getting as much money for... the power curtailment, right? The credits are not getting as much as they got last year as well. So that all contributes to it all. Hi, Seb. When did you hear about Bitcoin? When did you start looking into it seriously? And when did you make your first BTC purchase or its proxies? I first heard about it in 2013. I believe it was an article that I read. I think it was in CNET, I think it was, where I read the article on it. Didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, it's internet money, right? It was up a little bit there at that point. I'm like, but how far can it actually go? And then finally in 2017, started getting more information on it and things like that, seeing where the Bitcoin price was going up at that point. I think it was at $600 to like $800 when I first started getting into it. And that's when a friend of mine also made really a lot of money at that point, and he wanted to invest in building out a Bitcoin mining farm. So that's when I really got interested in it. I had the IT background. I was just like, okay, let me look into this, see what we can do. Is this possible? And, we ran the numbers, tried to figure it all out. So I started buying in 2017, 2018 as well. That's kind of when I got onboarded with Bitcoin. That was my red pill moment at that point. Okay. So as a Giraffe fan, what do you think about the Democrats killing Peanut and Fred before the election? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Killing Peanut and Fred before... I'm not sure what you're referring to. Okay. Bitfarms to $1.60 elected. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, look at that cycles before. 2020, 2016, didn't really matter who was elected there. Bitcoin still went up. So that's kind of the basis that I have for it, where I think it doesn't really matter. Yes, maybe if we have Trump being more pro Bitcoin, maybe that would be a little bit more juice for the fire, I guess, for Bitcoin, but we'll see. Do you understand why these making loss with Bitcoin being higher in the second half of this year? I do understand. Also, you have not transaction. Bitcoin network hash rate up higher, much higher than where it was, so that also contributes to it. There's a lot of contributing factors to it, and we need Bitcoin to be actually higher from where it is right now. Which two miners do you suggest to buy more today if they're down? Let's take a look at, this is what I like to go by, right? This doesn't give you the whole picture, but it gives you a little bit of a picture at least, is this spreadsheet here. So we're looking at the enterprise value, where you're taking them enterprise value minus, or enterprise value, which is market cap plus debt minus cash, and I'm including minus HODL in there as well. So if they have any HODL, it's taking that out, right? So we're just basically looking to see what their exahash is valued at. And based on this, for future hash rate growth, I can see that Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Hive doesn't have a lot of growth here left, or doesn't have a lot of growth going forward. And then IREN, Riot, right? Those are like the four that I think they're way undervalued from where they really should be. Marathon's getting close to that also right now. And then you got like Cypher, BitDeer, Hut 8, CORZ. CORZ, I understand why. TeraWulf is just an HPC hype right now. That's way overvalued, right? So some of those guys are more overvalued than some of the ones up top here. And those are the ones I would be looking into possibly. Okay, got that. IREN and Cleanspark, both actually. I think they're both great. There's pluses and minuses to both of them, right? IREN has potentially more megawatts down the stream that they're available to them. Cleanspark has much larger HODL, right? IREN doesn't HODL anything like that. But Cleanspark has also been performing well with buying these smaller sites, retrofitting them into their needs, and doing it that way. So there's pluses and minuses to both. IREN also has potential for HPCI. So let's see. And Bitfarms seems good to buy low too. I still think so, yeah. I hate to say it, but I don't see Bitfarms hitting 21 exahash in a year. They can't break the 12 they forecast in September yet. You might be right there. Right, the last interview that I saw with Ben was about maybe a week probably about 2 weeks ago. And they were still talking about getting to 21 exahash as their goal. So we'll see. I mean, even if they're off by a month, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. But if they're off by 3-4 months, yeah, that might be a big deal then. Okay, Private says volume is fine, but sounds like the base is turned up more than usual. Not a big deal though. No. Well, okay. Let's see if we can. I'll toy around with it afterwards. The base is making your voice sound very deep. Okay. Shall I sell Cleanspark, Riot, and Cypher tomorrow and buy back around the 11th? I mean, then you're trying to time the market, right? I would say it's time in the market. I've heard this before. It's a quote I think it's from Warren Buffett. It's timing the market, not timing the market. So if you're already in it, you get a dip, buy some more if you can, because you just never know what's going to happen with these guys. Let's see. Andre says, starting to hate my Bitfarms shares and think they will be next to get cut like I did Riot. Kidding. Friday. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you guys. Bitfarms has been an underperformer. The only correlation I can make to it is it's kind of like Cleanspark. When was it? Back in 2023, actually. Remember when Cleanspark was like lagging behind a lot by Marathon, Riot, and others that were doing really well that year. And it took finally Cleanspark right around this time in November where it just kind of took off. It was up like 100, 200%, whatever it was, 300%, and went on a rocket ship. So, and it was the same thing. It's like all the fundamentals were there. They were doing all the right things. They were growing. There was some concern that they might not get to the, what were they trying to get to? 16 exahash by the end of the year, I believe, right? That might be delayed. There was stuff going around it, but it still continued to perform quite nicely, and it got to where it's supposed to get to. But it had a huge bid up eventually. So that's kind of why I'm hesitant to sell yet Bitfarms, because it could be just one of those things where one day it just wakes up and blows all your hair off. Let's see. When can Bitfarms do 12 USD? I just want to sell them and be done with the miners. Probably not until the peak of Bitcoin, I think. Do you think this nuclear decision will affect Wolf? I don't know how Wolf is set up over there. I think they're behind the meter. No, that was the other one. That was the other site that they sold off. This site that they're at, Nautilus, I believe, is behind the meter. So I don't think that will affect them on that one. Okay. When does Ben run into an integrity problem with you? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, he's been on the job for only a couple months now, 3, 4, 5 months or something like that. He hasn't done anything that would make me suspect of his integrity, at least not yet. Right, everything that they've stated so far, except for the reaching the 12 exahash, has been pretty good. But he's also going on details that he's getting from other people in other countries and everything else, and that's why I wanted to know: is there any issues in Paraguay? If there's issues in Paraguay, it's okay. What are those issues? What's the delay on those? Or what's the delay going to be then to get into like 21 exahash or whatever it might be? But then with them buying also Stronghold, they can get to the 21 exahash potentially just with Stronghold alone, I think. So there's ways that they can still get to 21 exahash, I think, without having Paraguay in there, potentially. But yeah, I mean, so far I don't see anything that would make me question the guy yet. Let's see. Sour says, Sib, your audio sounds completely normal. I should know I'm here every day. Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay. What else we got? Private says, I think we will be rewarded by waiting and giving Bitfarms another month or so to really grow exahash and stock price. You just never know, right? But I can only go by what I've seen in the past, what I've done in the past, and how that's worked out. That's the only thing I can really go by. Andre says, we'll be lucky to get to 13 exahash by the end of the year. I think we'll get higher than that. I would hope we get higher than that. Okay. And says, the market crash on Thursday was from panic selling in the UK because their very, very liberal Labour government passed a very tax-heavy budget, spooked a lot of people. Elections matter. Trump. Okay. Okay. Private says wrong. It will be 21 exahash, very near it. No great reason to think otherwise. Right now, I don't see it either. So I'm with you on that. Okay. Eric says I was not able to vote 45,000 of my shares in Bitfarms because in margin account and they loaned them out, so someone else voted them. I wonder how many are short. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Sager says, broken promises means broken trust. This is why I cut Bitfarms at a loss and put the money into IREN and Cleanspark. Okay, those two are great too. So I have those too, and I have Bitfarms too. Okay, I think not having the big time players, aka BlackRock, not heavy into Bitfarms is hurting the stock. Some people are also saying that it's because they're Canadian based. I'm like, okay, that could be a reason there, but also IREN's not a US based stock. It's an Australian based stock, and it's actually done really well. I mean, it was up to like $16. And it's come back down. Seb, do you see a Trump or see an 80,000 Trump pump? I don't know. If we have a repeat of the 2016 cycle and Bitcoin's only up 5%, I mean, how much can it go? I mean, it might get close to 80,000. So, I don't know. Okay. Show me a great reason to support Bitfarms at 21 end of year. To support it? Yes, they're. I'm not going to argue with you guys. They're not where they should be, but it's also out of their control a little bit. The T21s are getting basically fixed, right? I'm sure they're probably putting a lot of pressure on Bitmain to get those things fixed as possible and send them over to them. But that's kind of how it's things that are out of their control. You can't control everything, unfortunately. I wish you could. It'd be great. I'd be a millionaire right now if I could control everything, but you can't. So. You got to take what you got, and they've been I wish they would be a little bit more forthcoming with some of the information, yes. But that goes for a lot of these companies also. I wish they would be a little bit more forthcoming, but they're not, right? They got their lawyers, and their lawyers are telling them, no, don't say anything like this until you actually have to, because that's going to be bad for the stock, and then you could get sued by this, shareholders or whatever, because people are so crazy. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. What else we have here? Roger asks, who you voting for, Seb? Gosh, I'm still undecided, to be honest with you guys. There's a lot of things that I'm not happy with Trump with. There's also a lot more probably things I'm not happy with Kamala. So I'm still debating in my head right now. Won't make the decision probably at game time when I go and vote. Good luck all next week. Yep. SH says, everyone's focusing on the short term for Bitfarms, and no one is focusing on the 2025 growth, the Stronghold merger, Sharon acquisition. Yep, also the other business Bitfarms will develop. Some I'll regret later. That's kind of the way I'm seeing it also. So, yeah, great point there. Who's winning the U.S. elections? Don't know. It's too early to tell. Let's see here. You look like Andrew Tate. He's also, yeah, but I'm also a much, much nicer guy. And I don't try to scam you guys. What else we got here? Let's see. I got a pinch off Mara at $27.99. When am I breaking even? Oh, man, you're going to have to wait a couple more months for that to break even, possibly. Bitcoin's going to need to be probably like 85, 90,000, I think, somewhere around there. Did Cleanspark ever get the new transformers yet? I believe they did, yeah. I think those are in. Okay, let's see. The T21s are going to SDIG now. No, still in the dark about Paraguay. That's the big concern for me. Yeah, Paraguay is still in the dark. The T21s are supposed to be going there, and those include the ones that were getting repaired. Let's see. When is Ben's next interview going to be? If anybody knows, he'll be Anthony's guest coming days. Yeah, he's going to be coming up. I think I heard Anthony say he's going to be in about a week or two, I think, when they report their quarterly results, I think. Hi, Seb, can you stop using the word hype while mentioning core, wolf, etc. just because you're not taking their focus? You are not taking their focus on HPCI. Well, to me, it's hype until they actually prove that they have a customer. Core has it, so that's what I'm saying. It's core is hype. Core is actual. Got a several $billion contract with CoreWeave. That's not hype. Everybody else that's talking about it, that's hype. The only reason I'm not selling Bitfarms is my average is 252, and I know it will be pumped to 15. Yeah, I mean, my thought is somewhere between 10 and 20, but that's good still. Okay, Andrew says, vote Trump for all of us, please. Trump will bring peace to the world, peace through strength. Come on as a pushover, warmonger, and will bring death and destruction for the next order. I don't know. I'm leaning towards possibly Trump. I don't know. I still got to sleep on it, think about it. Like I said, there's a lot of things I don't like about Trump, and there's a lot more that I don't like about Kamala. So we'll see. Okay. Not sure I understand this. You vote for, you're a public figure, you don't need the aggravation, I guess. Maybe. Let's see. Bitfarms is too much risk for the same potential returns compared to IREN. Better to have IREN instead. Possibly, right? That's why we'll see if my conviction is correct on Bitfarms in the long run, or if it was ill-placed, I guess. Okay. Is IREN and Cleanspark hitting 40 possible when BTC hits 100,000? Possible. But that'd be a roughly, what was that going to be? Roughly a 4x for both of them, roughly. And Bitcoin's, yeah, that might be tough. Okay. And says, as a Canadian who has had Trudeau for almost 10 years of leadership, you don't want Camilla. You will see homeless encampments everywhere. You will see capital gains taxes. You will see wealthy leave. Now, we already kind of see that in California anyways, as it is. Yeah, I know, right? I've voted Republican for pretty much all my life, ever since I was able to vote. So that's kind of the way I've voted. And the things that happened in 2020 weren't the best shining light on the Republican Party at that point. And man, I just don't know. I look at a person, I judge a person by their character, and to be honest with you, I do not like Trump's character. But sometimes you have to look beyond that, I think, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do is look beyond both candidates. But I don't know. We'll see how I vote. What else we got here? Let's see. Hey Seb, I watch your videos every day. Learned a lot from you. You think Cleanspark is around 60 when BTC is 150,000. I assume this is a fair value. What could be the price when Euphoria kicks in? I mean, if we go to 200,000 for Bitcoin, we could be higher than $60. Obviously, it could also be at around $60 too, because we just don't know how much dilution has been happening here in the last 3 months. We'll find that out when they actually report their fiscal year-end numbers. So at that point, we'll have an updated number on the shares outstanding. We'll see where those are at, and then how would that play into where the price could possibly be in. Is IREN still planning on getting to 30 exahash, or are they now only an AI? If not, how will they pay for all the expansion? No, they're still getting to 31 exahash, I think, by the end of the year. That's their plan. And AI is something they're looking into, but it's still not their main driver, I guess you'd say. What if they announce that Paraguay banned Bitcoin mining and all sites have been demolished? Well, at that point, I want to know, how are they still getting to 21 exahash and 35 exahash next year sometime? So I need to know, do they have a backup plan, basically? But I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. Ben will host a Bitfarmers conference call on 8/12, an interview with Anthony on. Okay. Yeah. So I was right. Within one to 2 weeks. Okay. So 8/12 would be. So that'd be. Wait a minute. Call on 8/12. Yeah, that is weird. So that should be 10/12 or 11/12, I think. 11/12 and 11/13. So November 12th and November 13th. Okay. The polls aren't as close as the news outlets are portraying them to be. Landslide victory for Donald Trump. Bitcoin is about to start big pumping. The votes from dead and illegals won't even say come on. Well, that would be nice, right? Whichever way it goes, I just hope it's like a large margin of victory, because I don't want this to drag out for weeks. So we will see. Let's see. Andy says, hey, Seb, you should watch Trump's Joe Rogan interview. I actually did watch it. That was a good interview. Might change your mind about him. Trump can actually speak like a human being, unlike Kamala. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen also Kamala. Okay. So I was never going to vote for Kamala, right? That's just not my thing. But I was going to protest against Trump and vote for somebody else. That's like on a ticket. I know it's not going to win anyways. It's just a protest against that. But we'll see. But yeah, what is it? Joe Rogan's interview with Trump was actually really good. Why does it feel like these cycles are so predictable that everyone else is also expecting the same thing, and therefore Bitcoin won't go up that much? Is that a possibility? That is always a possibility. But usually what happens here, the nice thing with Bitcoin is you have a set amount of Bitcoin, 21 million, right? You have a halving event every 4 years, meaning supply gets cut in half. And as long as demand continues to increase, your price should go up based on that. Simple supply and demand economics there. Okay. Look at JD Vance and Tim Maltz then. JD Vance all the way. Yeah, I also watched Joe Rogan's interview with JD Vance. Thought it was a great interview also. Okay. You should own GLDC and Galaxy. What's GLDC? Galaxy, I think, is Galaxy Digital. I'm not sure what GLDC is. Let's see. Kamala's most popular podcast got 900,000 views. Trump most popular got 44 million. The people have already voted. Yeah. In that regard, yes. Okay. January 6th and Project 25 are the main reasons I voted straight ticket blue, and I'm a combat veteran Republican. Well, thank you for your service. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, January 6th, right? That's still in the back of my mind here. Not a big fan of that. Okay. Okay, we're turning this into a political show here. What else we got here? Yeah, that's what I said I would do. I think you should write in Ronald Reagan instead of voting for Trump. That was one of my thoughts of doing that. Ronald Reagan was a great president. He was tough on spending in the United States. He was tough on communism, all that stuff. He wanted to make America strong all over the world, right? To spread democracy and everything else. That's kind of the way I lead. Like, there's some topics that I can kind of go with the Democratic Party, but there's a lot more topics that I go with the Republican Party there. So, and these candidates are so polarizing from one side to the other side. It's like you either take it all or you don't get anything at all. I wish there was a way we could come together and just agree on certain things, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, because both sides have some good, have some bad, right? But it's never going to be that way. You can't run that way. So, I mean, you're trying to pick basically the lesser of the two evils potentially. Let's see. Do a poll on election with 201 watching. I'm curious. Well, I'm sure. Well, we can do that. Let me do a poll. All right, so let's do a poll. What do you guys think here? Let's see. Engage with the audience. Start a poll. Okay. Next president. All right. Next president. Trump. I'm going to probably butcher spelling Kamala's name here. Kamala. Okay. Start poll. All right. Here you go. Here's a poll. Let's see what you guys have to say on this. So there's that. We'll see who wins. But I think also a lot of people that are investing typically are more in the Republican camp, right? You can see already Trump being up there at 76%, 70%. We'll see how it does. We'll catch up on that at the end. Do the BTC ETFs have proof of reserve? Could it be all paper BTC? It should be reserves, right? It should be Bitcoin that they're getting. It shouldn't be paper, I don't believe. What else we got here? Let's see. Christian says Trump is not the ideal president, but he's kind of like the best between the two choices. I'm right down the middle, political wise. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to do some deep thinking about it. I think you should look at Trump as a team. Look at the people behind him. You got Elon, RFK. I know he's gotten a lot more things last time around. I mean, what I don't want is somebody that is looking for people that are just going to tell him what he wants to hear, which is what we saw last time he was president in the White House. Anybody that was disagreeing with him, they would get fired. So you need some dissenting voices there just to kind of keep things in check, I think, a little bit, just to give a little bit of a different perspective on things, because I'm sure Trump doesn't know everything. Okay. Who's going to pump our bags the most? That's all I care about. There's more than I care about that, right? Who's going to keep democracy and who is going to keep the power of the United States in check for the rest of the world, right? Yes, we do spend a lot on that, on the military and everything else, but there's a reason for it. We try to keep peace. There's a lot of bad things that we've done. Yes, I'm not even going to go into that. But for the most part, the United States has been a force of good in the world, right? Let's see. Night Wicked says, come on, everyone, hit that like button for Seb. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. GLDC is negative 20% to NAV as closed-end fund. Seriously, if Gensler goes, you pick up 20 and then, okay. I get. Gary says, Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. Why do Dems keep trying to link him to it without proving he is linked to it? It's kind of hard to prove that he's linked to it. You might have people all working on the other side. But Project 2025 is actually pretty bad, but hopefully that never gets enacted. Yeah, I saw that Trump almost face planted himself in the garbage truck the other day. Trump needs to release his medical records. Trump is suffering from. No, I don't think Trump is suffering from dementia. At least he's not yet. He's getting up there. That's another reason, right? The age. Oh my gosh, why can't we get candidates that are like in their 40s or 50s? Why do you have to get these old farts in there? Okay. Oh. Okay. Summer, good afternoon, Sebastian. Greetings from China. Greetings. What time is it in China right now? Okay. Policy over personality, very simple. Yes. It's not an easy choice. Okay. Yeah, we're getting definitely into the weeds here. So far, the vote for Trump is 73%. Let's see, Andrea says, I'm a Canadian, but I think America needs a third-party choice, potentially. I mean, we got two parties, Democrats and Republicans. We need an independent, but independents don't get that many votes. So it's tough. Yeah, we're getting too political here. Let's get back on subject here, see if we have anything about Bitcoin. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to read through the comments. You guys are typing so fast here. I will say that all candidates lie. That, about one thing or another. Okay. Okay. So finally, something about Bitcoin. Bitcoin miners. So, yo, bro, guess for Cleanspark and how to think market will react to it. Monthly, I think they're going to be like 630, 640, I think. Somewhere around there when they report. What else we got here? Well, you guys have become really political here. Trying to keep it apolitical. And you guys are getting really political here. Okay. Right. If you're going to get, what will I say? Just be kind in the comments. That's what I'm going to say. Right. There's different opposing views from everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think as long as we can have a conversation about it, I think that's a good thing. That's why I love watching Joe Rogan's, right? He doesn't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatnot. He just wants to talk to you. He wants to understand your thinking and everything else. And it's a great thing, I believe. Sarman says, oh man, we got some Dems. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that either. I'm surprised given this is a crypto channel. Yeah, but you got also Democrats investing in, right? It's not just a one-sided thing. It's, it crosses both sides of the aisle on this. Okay, bear with me. I'm trying to catch up with the comments here. Let's see where we at. Trump is at 77% still right now in the poll. Or at least my poll here that we're doing, not the actual poll. What do we got? Okay. Separate question. Have you seen the jobs report this year has revised down by 1 million for this year? Do you expect cuts this month and next month to fuel Bitcoin? Yeah, I'm still expecting tax cuts to happen. Eric says either candidate will pump M2 Biggie. BTC will go much higher than we think. That would be great. Okay, yeah, we're getting way too political here, guys. Okay, how do you think the market will react to Cleanspark's monthly numbers? Move up, down, or nothing burger? Depending where Bitcoin goes. If they even post good numbers there, like 600 some plus, BTC, I think it's going to depend on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin's going, to be honest. Okay, so Bitfarms has had a bad November, December report too. Would you sell? If they're not growing at that point, yeah, gosh, I might sell half of it just to put into the other ones that are actually growing. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to get things turned around a little bit here in November. And then, remember, Ben's been saying that all along for the past probably, 8 months or something like that, that a lot of the growth is going to be happening here in Q4, especially like in November, December. So that's what I'm still expecting. Let's see here. I agree with Penny. There is no reason for MicroStrategy to command a premium over spot. Of course, doesn't change the fact that it has outperformed, but it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it too. Okay. Andrew says, look at the chart with percentage gains from Bitcoin, please. Look at the 2016 in November after Trump won. All right, let's take a look at it here. Where is it at? Oh, where do I have that at? There it is. Right here. Pull that up on the screen. So 2016, Trump won in November. 2020. Bitcoin's up 42%. Okay. 2016, we had who won that at that point? That was still Obama, right? 2016. And we don't have 2012 on here to see it, but yep. So if you look at only 1 month point on it, 42%, yeah, that's pretty good. We were good in December as well. But you can also see it over here that in 2017, Bitcoin was up 53%, 38%, similar to what we saw here. So that doesn't give me a correlation there, I guess. Going back here, okay, talked about that. He says, Joe Rogan's awesome. He want to learn and dissect what people's thinking are and what makes them human, not what party people associate with. Yeah, and that's why his interviews are great. Regardless of the party that you're affiliated with or whoever he's interviewing, he just wants to know the person, which is fantastic. And that's the way it should be. Yeah. Okay. Seeing how we're in BTC cycle, who voted Kamala to be the nominee, tried to sneak that one by you. Yeah, nobody voted that in. That's just the Democratic Party. But then again, do we really have a debate between the candidates and Trump? Right, we didn't really have that either. Okay, let's see. MicroStrategy is talking about becoming a super crypto bank. Do you see any traditional banks trying to compete with MicroStrategy and buying up Bitcoin? BlackRock, I guess, would be the one closest probably to it with their ETFs, but I don't see anything like that, no. Yeah, Joe Rogan rocks. He'll talk to anyone. I'm the same way. I'll talk to anybody. I'll listen to any kind of point of views, right? We may disagree, but I'll be cordial with you. I'll be friendly with you. I can still be friends with you, even though we disagree. That's not a. I think that's a good thing, right? If we can disagree and still be friends at the end of the day, that's awesome. We don't see a lot of that, but I think that would be very, very good if we could actually do that. Yeah, MicroStrategy is leverage play. Let's see. Sorry, step on the politics stuff. Politics is downstream from culture. Yeah, I mean we're 2 days away, so I kind of expected this to kind of happen with politics becoming more and more focused on this. Let's see. How would you invest $1 million in miners? Oh gosh, I would get into still Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms, possibly Riot, Marathon as well, and then some Cypher and maybe Wolf. So diversify, because you just never know when these guys are gonna really pop. All it takes is one good news story about getting a CoreWeave deal or something like that, or something similar to that, and the stocks are off to the races. So, stuff. Okay. What are your thoughts on the Bitfarmers upcoming special meeting? I hope Ben addresses Bitfarmers agenda for 2025. I don't think it's going to be talked about at that point. I think they're just looking to vote on the addition of another board member, the right to have 6 at that point, and some other things. But I don't know if there's going to be anything on the agenda there. Let's see. You're talking about Joe Rogan here. He was going to talk to Kamala Harris, but she only wanted 1 hour, and he said, no, I need 3 hours minimum. Yeah, I saw that, and they also wanted to do it at a different place. He said, no, he wants to do it at his studio. That's only fair, I think. She should have done it, you know. I think it would have been only fair. Go out there, speak to somebody that's, I wouldn't say for the people, maybe it's for the people, but basically you're being able to listen to what they communicate and talk about. But yeah, it's definitely nice when you can spend like 3 hours with somebody and just talking with them. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Drogo is genuinely curious. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that are, Rogan fans. He's got a lot of great, interesting guests on there. I love the guys when he gets on there, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, that are astrophysicists, talking about the stuff that's happening in space. Find that interesting, like crazy. Some of the guys are talking about some of the tinfoil hat guys. What's the word I'm looking for there? Not controversies. You guys know what I mean. The off the wall stuff. That is kind of interesting to listen to. It's kind of like, man, how are you guys getting that information? Okay, we're getting off topic. Okay, if Bitcoin adopts Bitcoin as a treasury asset in December, that will be a trigger after this month, possibly, right? Depending on also how much they actually put into it, 1%, 5% into it. Dom says a Democrat president with a Republican House and a Senate is actually good for the economy historically because Republicans are good at being against stuff, but not good at getting stuff done. Okay. I mean, a divided House, so that's one of the things that could also happen for Kamala or Donald, right? They could have a divided House. So he might be able to get in there, not do anything. Same thing for her. She might be able to get in there. She might not be able to do anything. And I think that's kind of the way our forefathers kind of wanted it that way. So that way you can't do a lot of stuff. You have a divided executive branch and Congress and all that stuff. And then you're in basically a gridlock there and you're not doing a lot, which is in a way kind of good. But remember, right? Remember the Tea Party? What was that for? Because the king wanted to increase the tax. What was it, like 0.5% or 1% or something like that, 2%? And we had a revolution because of it. I mean, we're talking about people raising taxes now and how much we're paying in taxes, and everybody's like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay, yeah. And it was a different world back then, that's for sure. Let's see here. Per grok in 2020 election dropped to BTC 20 for the 2 months before the election. We were going the opposite now, rising since September level 54,000 in 2020. Based on this one, it doesn't look like it before the election. I mean, we were down in September. Okay, yep. October we were up, and then November we were actually up. So take what Grok and any of these other AI chatbots give you with a grain of salt and actually research it yourself just to verify it, because they do hallucinate sometimes. Just be wary. Be wary of that. Don't trust everything that you read out of those things. Okay, Smith says invest 1 million in miners, put 900,000 in 5% bond, and gamble the rest. That'd probably be a better way to go. Okay. Let's see. It might be worth owning a chunk of BitDeer too, just in case their mining selling business takes off, or they are successfully in reaching 60. Yeah. But again, 60 exahash I think is going to be towards the latter part of the year, like second half. More so, but definitely they got a huge roadmap going forward for them. Okay, we will be all-time high if Trump wins for sure. Extended cycle with Harris win. I don't see that historically from the historical numbers that we've seen here, but we might have a little bit more of a bump if Trump wins. I agree with that. How many board members on Bitfarms now that they added 2 new members? So they replaced some members there. They have 5 members there now. They want to add 1 more. Let's see. You're talking about Kamala Harris. She did a really good one with Howard Stern and also Sharp. I can't pronounce that. Sorry. Howard Stern is probably a how would I put that? I'm sure I put this right. he's somebody that's probably more supportive of the Democrats, I think, or Democrat leaning historically. So I think that was kind of like a more friendly atmosphere for her. That's why, maybe their questions were pre-picked. I'm not sure. But getting outside your comfort zone, I think, would be good. Really need to do that because you're going to be outside your comfort zone when you're president at that point too. Let's see. If we hit your price targets, do you plan to hold certain percentages till next cycle? No, I'm selling everything. Yeah, Bob talking about aliens. Yep. Conspiracy. Thank you, Mark. That's what I was talking about. Conspiracy theories. Yeah. That stuff is a little bit outlandish out there. Or the flat earthers. That still makes me giggle. Gad Said is my favorite Joe Rogan. I don't remember if I recall listening to Gad Said. What is he about? Yeah, this is another good point. 40 of his 44 ex-staffers of Trump is voting for Kamala, and some are calling him fascist, etc. Who knows best? I don't know. Could be that they're also retaliating, maybe. Who knows? Tom says, yes, Seb forefathers were geniuses. Yeah, I mean, they didn't foresee all the stuff that's happening now, but I think they would not be happy with the way things have turned out. I think they'd be happy that we still have democracy, but man, some of the bickering and just a low decency, I guess you could say, in the space. Let's see here. Gerard, thank you so much for becoming a member. Okay. Yeah, that's what I said, right? Could be just retaliation there. Let's see. Like Trump, like Kamala, but make sure like Seb's. Thank you, appreciate it. Let's see. Come on, Hut 8. Hut 8 has been on a nice run here recently. It's been doing actually really good. Okay. What could Kamala can talk about? Her husband impregnating the nanny and hubby slapping a woman and making her fall down some diner, needs to go to deep state school and get help from Daddy Soros. Okay. There's a lot of skeletons in Trump's closet too. So I'm not going to go there. Okay. Question. Good mornings. It's 6 a.m. in Switzerland. Well, good morning. Thanks for coming in. Would like to ask, do you think Cleanspark will rise in price? Yes, I think in the long run it will, right? We're still in this bear market. In the beginning of the bull run, we need to get past this and into next year before I think price is going to continue to go up, but we need to get much higher in price. Let's see. So can you advise when BTC can do 150? I'm guessing it's $150,000. Sometime next year. I don't know exactly when, but we're planning on it being sometime next year. Okay. Which Bitcoin ETF is the best? That I don't know. I own Bitcoin outright. I don't own any ETFs, so I'm not sure. What else we got? Okay. Everything BlackRock does is to follow formulaic rules to earn management fees. Okay, you're talking about the ETFs there. Let's see. Harris was too scared to do Rogan interview. Possibly, yeah. Right, we just don't know. It could have been timing issue, but then, Joe Rogan has one of the largest audiences out there. Could be a little bit more Republican leaning, maybe, but he's always, I think, fair to the guest. And it would have been nice to get her side of everything, her history, her backing, and all that stuff. But you guys are going back and forth. Trump was too scared to have more presidential debates. I mean, you can go back and forth on this stuff. Okay. Okay. Trying to catch up with the rest of the comments here. Tom says the difference is we know about most of Trump's skeletons. The media tries to hide Kamala's and her psychopaths. I think I'm not sure what that word is. I haven't heard that. I haven't seen that word before. Yeah, that could be also true. Okay. Would you bet? Who would you bet to hit 100 exahash milestone first? IREN, Cleanspark, Marathon, Riot, Bitfarms, Cypher, Hut, or Wolf? Okay. So Wolf, no. Hut 8, definitely no. Cypher, okay, Cypher I would probably put in. I mean, you might have it in the list that it might actually be in. So IREN and Cleanspark, I think, would be close to, where is it at? There it is. Like one of the top ones I would think that would get to 100 exahash first, possibly Cleanspark. Cleanspark is getting to 50 exahash planned already next year. Marathon's going to be getting to 50 exahash this year as well. So we'll have to wait and see. So I think maybe between Cleanspark and Marathon, Riot's already got infrastructure. So that's, gosh, I'd maybe put Riot in number 3. Bitfarms, oh gosh, that'd be down towards the, after those guys. Cypher has infrastructure or megawatts deals in place. Maybe. Put Cypher in front of Bitfarms, maybe. But then we're looking out. This would be probably until the end of 2025, 2026 sometime. Okay. Let's see here. Democrats wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the extreme lefties. Yeah, the same thing we got extreme righties in the Republican Party as well. And that's just, you never really identify all completely at the left or the right side of things. You're always somewhere in the middle, right? There's some good things from the Democrats and there's some good things from the Republicans. If we could find common ground on those things, I think we'd be in much better shape. Okay. Let's see. There are no serious conversations on Howard Stern. No comparison to Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan, Howard Stern does a radio, basically, right? I don't know if he has commercials in there or not. Joe does that for 3 hours straight, just talking about it, and he puts it out there, and you guys can listen to it, which I think is the difference. So I haven't listened to Howard Stern in a long time. Kyle says, for sure, she really should have done Rogan. She needs to market to centrist and right-wingers. Doing left-leaning shows is talking to people already voting for. Yeah, I think it goes for both candidates, right? They both got to get out of their comfort zone, get into the war room with some of these people, and take the hard questions. Okay. When you sell the miners, are you going to buy Bitcoin on future dips? I might. I haven't ruled that out yet, but I want to definitely diversify more. Karen, thank you so much for the super chat here. Okay. Thank you so much. Talked about that. Okay. All right. Where are we at here? Okay. Gerard says, hi, Seb. I'm worried about Bitfarms quarterly results. FC is 46,180 versus 41. Yeah, so their revenue is up, right? Cleanspark, on the other hand, has sandbagging last quarter, 88. You think it's going to be 88? I think FC, I'm trying to think what FC would be. Let me look at my spreadsheet here on Bitfarms. Bitfarms and Riot were the only ones that actually increased the revenue from Q2 to Q3 here in my numbers. Where are we at here? Yeah, for September, I'm at about 43 million or something like that, compared to the 41.5 that they had the prior quarter. And then December right now is looking at about 43, but it's hard to tell right now. And Cleanspark, I actually have them at, well, they're doing a full year number here. Let's take a look at it right here. Cleanspark, I have them actually being down a little bit from Q2. So they were 104, having about 90 million roughly, 89.4 million. But right now with the increase in hash rate that they've seen here, it looks like Bitcoin going up in value as well. They're looking to be up where they were in Q2, possibly, for Q1 of theirs, because they have the fiscal year end at the end of September here on that one. All right, let's go back here. Let's see, where did I miss? Okay, talked about that. talked about that. Let's see. Canadian Bushman says, if Kamala wins, Bitcoin suffers. Convince me otherwise. Elizabeth Warren agenda will rule. Gensler stays. JD Vance owns Bitcoin. Yeah, I own Bitcoin too. And we know that the Democrats historically have not been for Bitcoin. They've tried numerous things. Operation Choke Point 2.0 here recently. They've tried getting all the information from the miners as well, right? Coordinates, what are they using? It's just overreach on that part. And I think it's more so because they are backed by bankers more so than anything else. The bankers are, fearing for their jobs. And that's kind of where they're getting a push from. I think it's from that. But it has been great, but also Bitcoin has gone up here. We've reached a new all-time high before the halving event. That's never happened before. We have more adoption as well. They weren't able to stop it anyway. So, like I said before, I don't think it really matters who's in there. Yes, there might be some positives too. If maybe a Republican gets in there, sure, okay. I can see that a little bit, but I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on it. Maybe says, I think some people will be voting for Harris for president, but then Republican for the House and Senate. Yeah, keep us stalemate there, maybe. Okay, let's see. This is just my feeling. I never saw Joe Rogan and Trump video in the recommendations homepage. I heard an interesting explanation on the All In podcast. I can't remember who said it now, but one of the guys said it there that he thinks it was because Joe Rogan's YouTube videos don't get monetized, and then the shorts do get monetized. That's why you're seeing all this shorts being published out there that are getting monetized because, well, YouTube's there to make money, right? So if they're not getting monetized on the views for the actual video that was 3 hours long, but they are getting monetized on the shorts and maybe some of the snippets and things like that, people talking about it, that's where they're going to send people because that's kind of what they want to make money. Maybe that was the case. I'm not sure if that is, but that was just one explanation that I heard. What are the chances Bitfarms and Riot will merge bot and will become the largest one? I still don't see that happening. Bitfarms still wants to remain an independent company. Riot does not have a formal offer for them right now. And if Bitcoin goes up and the values go up, it just doesn't make sense. I don't think it made sense to begin with for Riot to buy them out. Richard says, I think Bitcoin market wants post-election clarity over candidate quality. It could be as well, yep. All right. Okay, trying to find something here. Okay, are you buying Bitfarmers or Cleanspark? No, I'm hodling cash right now. I need to get ready for some payments that I need to make for vacations, taxes, and property taxes coming up here later on, early next year as well. Okay. Let's see. Which two miner has the most upside based on current level right now? I think it's going to be, we talked about here earlier, actually. Where's it at? Enterprise metrics here. So we talked about this here earlier. I still think it's possibly like Cleanspark and Bitfarms. If Bitfarms finally wakes up, but if, okay, let's say Bitfarms doesn't wake up, then you got Cleanspark and IREN, I think, still, based on the numbers that I'm seeing here. That's kind of where I would look at first. Okay. Okay. What else? We need cheaper energy for all. Well, I don't think that's going to go down too much more with inflation the way it's been. The labor is much more. All the parts are much more. Everything's costing more. That's not likely going to happen. I mean, we could come down a couple bucks or something like that, but per barrel. But that's about it. Let's see. Do you think it would make a difference for the bull run if Vanguard decided to join in and make an ETF? I don't know. I mean, there's already so many ETFs out there. I don't know if they want to get into it now. It would be tough for them to get into it. They think they might be just better off, putting people to the ETFs that are already out there. Let's see, with the election at basically 50-50 at this point, it's bullish sign that Bitcoin is still hanging around near above 69. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And then our latest poll here is showing up as 79 for Trump and 21% for Kamala. So yeah, so definitely have a lot more Republican-leaning or right-leaning viewers here, it looks like, which is okay, which is not a big deal. Okay. Seb, when is your next, wait, that one wasn't it. Here we go. Seb, when is your next roundtable with Bryce and Anthony? I don't know. We might do one this month. Again, it's just timing is rough, right? I work during the day. They do their shows during the day as well. So it's kind of tough to get in there sometimes. Sometimes last time I did it, I was on my lunch break. So then I'm scrambling to eat really quick and be on there for like 45 minutes before I have to go back to work. Let's see. Income tax does not get taken off monthly in the USA. Yeah, it does. If you're employed, your employer is taking that out and you're paying part of it as well. Let's see. I could not even find Joe Rogan when searched only once. I went directly to JR channel. I could watch it. Definitely was rigged. It only got fixed after a lot of people complained. Well, it's not like I explained it earlier, right? I think it's the algorithm. The algorithm's trying to make as much money for YouTube as it can. And if that, in fact, was the video that was not monetized, okay, I can see the reasoning behind it. So sometimes people want to make it out to be a bigger story than it actually is. Okay, let's see here. Why don't you factor cost of energy of miner efficiency to your tables? Shouldn't cost of mining exahash factor into the value metrics? We do look at that. I do look at that on some of the things when it comes to break-even points. So that I do factor that in. When we look at basically what is the break-even point for Bitcoin, right? Including just regular cash expenses for them. So we do factor that in here. This is just enterprise value for the miners that we look at. So let's see. Someone says there's a poll on Discord for who's going to win. Why you got one here? Somebody asked from one of the viewers there. What do you think of the chances of getting Bitfarms to $10 to $15? I think the chances are still pretty good as long as Bitcoin goes to 150,000, north. If we get there, then I think the chances are still pretty good. All right, but I've caught up to all you guys' questions here. It looks like we're going on, well, roughly an hour. Is it an hour? Wow, yeah, we're going on an hour and a half. So we'll see what happens later on this week, right? We have the election. Maybe we'll do a special election night coverage. We'll talk about what's going on and everything else. We'll see what the miners report as far as their monthly operational updates and see if we get any news. I think we got a couple of miners reporting also their quarterly results this week. So it should be fun. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about, especially with the election. So we'll see how things progress. Either way, I think we're going to do great in the next 9 to 12 months. We just got to be patient. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but we're going to get there, I think. Okay? All right. I wish you guys all a great week. Thank you so much for coming in here to spend this time. It was a little bit more heated today because of the election, which is fine. You guys were all very cordial and very nice. I appreciate that very much. Right? You guys weren't out there calling each other's nasty names, which is good. So thank you for doing that. I greatly appreciate it, you guys. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you guys tomorrow.